thinking that Malort's like better for me than like doing regular liquor. I'm like, oh, it's a digestive. It's like good for your health. Oh, it'll help my stomach.
I'm gonna put that on at the end. Give it a check. Check 1 2.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
So, all right, we wanted to get you in the red if we can. Cool. Let me pull this up. Like not pinning it, but like just entering the red.
Yeah.
All check right. 1 2. Check 1 2.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
All right, cool. Give me 1 second. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 53 of Behind Bars, Cocked Tales, and Wasted Nights. This is a great one. I've been trying to get this guy in for a while, episode 53. This is my buddy who I work with, Timmy, me boy. Timmy, me boy, what's up, buddy?
How's it going, Greg?
It's going good, man. I'm really psyched to have you in here tonight. This is great. Timmy's got all kinds of stories, Timmy, me boy. From Chicago. Right? That's how you got into it? Is that where you started?
Well, I'm from Northwest Indiana, but I spent most of my adult life in Chicago.
That's where you cut your teeth?
Yes.
And you were like, Second City, was it?
Yeah, I did some Second City. I mostly hung out in areas in the same neighborhood. But yeah, did some Second City classes, did a little improv, did some comedy.
Oh, you're a yes and guy?
Yes, I am, and I am also other things, but yeah.
Many hats in improv.
Yeah.
So, did you start bartending in Chicago?
I started bartending in Northwest Indiana.
What kind of bar was that?
It was a chain Mexican restaurant called Don Pablo's, which is now completely and totally defunct.
It's because you left.
Oh, yeah, that's the strength.
Yeah,
that's the one thing. I had quite a few fun coworkers there. Probably got some good stories about that place, too, if we really think about it.
Oh, so you're in Northwest Indiana, probably not a lot to do, and then you got some of you guys around some booze in a professional environment, and I'm sure it got unprofessional.
Oh, many times. Yeah,
oh, yeah?
Absolutely.
It's hard to get unprofessional in a chain environment, too.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. It was,
surprise me. What did you guys get up to?
Well, it's more about, there was definitely a lot of people there that I worked with that had severe drug problems, as is often
the case. Is it methy out there?
No, it was a lot of pills there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there was a good amount of coke. I had a former coworker who used to be a Marine recruiter who was probably like the best server I've ever met in my entire life. Like the dude could sell water to a drowning person for sure.
He's like, oh, this spam that's been folded in
he would like, people would be like, oh, this I dropped my fork, and he'd just like pick it up off the ground and just like put it in his mouth and just be like, better now, right? And they just...
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and they'd obviously not be into it, and then he'd go get him a new fork, or he'd like upsell him. If you went to the bar with this guy, he'd be like, Jaegers for everybody, and be like, no one wants fucking Jaegers, dude. And then he'd just be like, no, or you're gonna drink a Jaeger. You're gonna have a Jaeger. You have to have this Jaeger. And then you just forcibly do Jaeger with this really aggressive former Marine recruiter.
Yeah, you're not gonna say no to that.
Yeah,
guy.
Exactly.
And he was like drinking on the job, drinking the Jaeger.
Oh yeah, constantly. Dude
That's
was always, and so he did so much cocaine that he had no more deviated septum. He would take his finger and push it on his nose until it laid flat against his face.
Wow.
So one day I'm trying to get some weed, and we're like at the bar, and he's just like, all right, we're gonna
Sorry, I'm just testing my nose, everybody. You can't see this. Yeah, it's an audio podcast.
There's still some...
I'm like, am I there?
It's structurally sound. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
I just can't take a punch to the nose. Yeah. So I negotiate anytime a fight's about to happen.
Yeah, make sure you bring some sort of bridge protection.
Yeah.
So he claims that he can get me some weed. And he's like, all right, let's get you some weed. So we leave the bar, I jump in his car, and he is going like 90 miles an hour at 55.
It's being obvious.
Yeah, and then and I'm like, we're driving straight into Gary, Indiana, because that's where you get drugs. And
we're teaching the listeners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So if you're in Indiana.
Yeah, if you're in Northwest Indiana, drive into the former capital of the world, and maybe you'll see the old fucking Michael Jackson house.
All right, a little trick here since we're on it. The old Michael Jackson house, Gary, Indiana. Let's fucking put a little pin in that for a second. Yeah. When you are traveling, folks, and you need to do stuff like we just talked about, my thing that always works, I go to the local strip joint. You're going to pay for it, they're going to tax it, but you're going to get it.
Yeah, you get that connection. It's easier than asking your random bartender at a chain restaurant whether they can get you drugs.
They would come in Aspen, and people from all over the place, and I would always know, because they'd approach the bar, they'd look left, they'd look right. I'm like, either you're going to tell me a black joke or you're going to ask me for cocaine.
Yeah, exactly. Or both.
Yeah.
Or both. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. Is like, here's a little factoid. I don't know if anyone's aware of this, is yeah, your bartender can get you drugs, but then they will no longer be allowed to get drugs because their guy does not want some random asshole from the bar calling him up on a Saturday night at like 1:30.
You gotta be the go-between too.
Exactly.
On top of it, you don't give them but like you broker the deal, but at the same time, it's like I'm bartending.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't run out.
Yeah, exactly. So even
Except
if you are brokering the deal,
you let me run out. Tim does let me run out. Everybody, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm an
Where'd Greg
understanding
go? Why
guy.
did he get into that Maserati? Why is he doing a lap around the block?
He's working.
He's working.
Well, that's the thing about trying to hook up some random person is that, like, yeah, I could go out of my way to get this for you, but I met you at a bar where I'm working for tips, where me getting you a beer gets 20%. So here, meanwhile, I got to drive across town to get you fucking cocaine.
No.
I don't even do cocaine.
No.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to go through all this effort just to literally have someone be like, okay,
it's already
thanks, I'll never
expensive.
see
You're not
you
gonna,
again.
you're not gonna throw me any extra on top of it.
Yeah, that's not how it goes.
No.
All
right, so Gary, Indiana, he's gonna get the weed. You guys are speeding in a car.
Yes, so we're flying through, blowing red lights left and right, because, again, former Marine, drug addict, alcoholic, can do whatever the fuck he wants. So we're on the way, and he goes, hey, so I'm gonna smoke some crack. And I'm like,
he announces
it. Yeah, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, I mean, like, when? Why? He's like, all day, every day. So,
oh my god.
Yeah, he's telling me this because, as it turns out, not taking me to get weed, taking me on a crack deal because he thought maybe I would want to smoke some crack with him. He's a lonely crackhead. He was like, hey, this guy and I, we got a vibe that I forced upon him. Yeah, exactly. He's totally willing to be my crack smoking buddy.
Marijuana's the gateway drug.
Yeah, exactly. So he's totally believing all those talking points. And then, so we get to a gas station in the middle of Gary, and he definitely buys crack, and then we jump back in the car, and this dude starts ripping it open ravenously, like the packages of crack, because he needs that crack, and he needs it now. So he just, like, grabs out his crack pipe, stuffs a little fucking...
rock in there?
No, there's steps.
Oh.
So, yeah, you gotta rip up your Brillo pad with your teeth, and you gotta jam that into your crack pipe, because you don't want the crack to fall through and burn your throat, and, the dude's nose is already fucked, he needs to keep that throat going.
That's probably what happened. Is those fuck started smoking blow,
That's
and he gets
why
a crack.
Everybody who smokes crack kind of sounds like this.
Oh,
because
God.
Brillo pads are expensive.
It smells like melted straws in the car.
Oh yeah, immediately. So he's smoking crack, driving down the highway again, back to 90, and he's like, so you're gonna smoke some crack with me? I'm like, no, dude, I'm not. And he's like, I could make you smoke crack with me, right? And I'm like, yes, you could hit me a bunch of times, but I promise you, I still will not smoke crack with you in the car while you're driving 90 miles an hour. I'm like, just doesn't seem like a logical thing to do. And we got pulled over.
Oh no!
Right?
Oh god!
And this is Indiana. It's known for its progressivism. It's a very, this is what it is. It's a deep blue state, deep blue. So this cop comes up. He's got his Marine shit all over. Dude pulls out like his military ID to show him that first, and then the cop, again, stinking like melted plastic.
Yep.
Clearly inebriated.
His irises look like coasters.
Oh yeah, and his eyes red as the devil's dick. And this cop's just like, all right, sir, thank you for your service, and then just sends us on our way to go back to the bar. And then, like, fortunately, Jeff did not force me to smoke crack, but he did get to the bar and become the most pathetic person I've ever met, as he was like, please don't tell anybody about this. I'm so sorry. Please don't tell anybody about this. Don't tell anyone. I'm like, I'm going to tell everyone.
Yeah, because this is hilarious.
Yeah, that you tricked me into going on a crack run, but also, good story, dude. Sorry, fuck you.
Yeah.
Eventually,
so you never got the weed. You just
I didn't get any weed.
Him smoke crack.
Yeah, and then he took me back to the bar.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, and then eventually
from this journey, you guys would have been terrible in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Right before I moved to Chicago, that guy gave me his couch.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Did you find any crack in it?
No, I mean, you know what? We got up there and it wouldn't fit through the door, so we just chucked it in the dumpster.
Oh, nice.
At the end of that story, which is, I'm sure, where he ended up eventually.
In the dumpster.
He also supposedly had like a porn career where he was played like a Marine, and I mean,
that's a stretch.
He said it wasn't gay porn, but I don't know.
You know what they say about gay porn? It's a pain in the ass, but it pays well.
Yeah, I don't know if this will stay on here, but Sergeant Stroker, I think, was the name of his porn identity. I don't know.
The porn identity.
Yeah. The porn identity.
All right, I smell franchise coming on.
Yeah, that's a good spin-off.
Just like you wake up on set and you're like covered in lube. You're like, what happened?
Yeah. I don't remember anything. But I have a certain set of skills. No, that's taken. That's
another. Oh, what's his name? David Webb. So, oh God, what was I gonna say? Porn identity. What were we talking about? So I worked with this dude in L.A. I had these two chicks. It was a sports bar kind of thing. Mad Bull's Tavern, Sherman Oaks. And on my left was the girl who won like Big Brother season 3. She was known as the Thong Girl. And to my right was this guy Frankie, who was like the main guy for all the Skinamax movies.
Okay.
And so girls would come up to me like, "Oh my God, look at that! Like, do you know who that is?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's Frankie. He's fucking slow as fuck." No, he's the guy like all the Skinamax movie. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, "You don't watch Skinamax?" I'm like, "No, there's hardcore porn on the internet."
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Why am I going to watch this dude I work with wear a cock sock and simulate sex?
I've got a subscription service when I can very easily use dial-up and
yeah.
wait a very, very, very long time for porn. What
in the cornucopia.
Yeah. Oh, man, I've definitely spent like days waiting for 30-second clips.
But,
but that
was herky-jerky. It wasn't high-res streaming.
Kids these days, they don't even know how difficult it was to
in my day, you used to have to snag a Playboy out of a gas station, put it under your shirt, tuck it in your pants, bend over when you walk into the house, and then go hide it somewhere while you built a fort outside to house it in the woods.
See,
now there's going to be like fucking 3D hologram fucking sex in your living room in a year or two.
We had like a troubled kid in school that we hung out with in middle school who we would pay money to go steal things from the Walgreens nearby.
Nice.
Yeah, and porn was a very frequent, request, and that and candy bars mostly.
It's funny, man. I had a friend of mine in L.A. who had a show on Comedy Central about being a con artist. I'll just say that because I don't want to plug the show or him because he sucks. But one of his cons was like the Dr. Phil prank, and he would go to this newsstand outside of Gower Studios.
It was Dirty Jobs, wasn't it?
And it was we'll take that Playboy, we'll take that Club International. We need 3 packs of Parliaments, candy bar, and a Gatorade. Put it on the Dr. Phil tab, and they did.
Yes.
They did. Dr. Phil was buying us like porno mags and cigarettes. It doesn't know it.
Well, I mean, he's not even a real doctor. So,
yeah.
Sorry, you don't want to throw shade on Dr. Phil.
Just took 7 years of college. It's a different situation.
Yeah, exactly.
What is wrong with you? Why don't you kick him to the curb?
I think that our family has a great opportunity here for some growth.
Timmy boy with the Dr. Phil impersonation. Nice. I wasn't expecting that.
That's in my wheelhouse.
So you leave Gary, Indiana, and you go to Chicago. How old were you?
So I had a in-between stint of I lived in Indianapolis for a year, not quite a year, and then I think I was like 23.
Were you there like when Herb Baumeister was murdering gay people
in Indianapolis?
Yeah.
When was that?
I don't know. It was like late 90s, early or mid 90s.
No, I was not. That was probably more like 2006. I don't know.
Great serial killer, everybody. Yeah. Look him up. Herb Baumeister. Great Indianapolis.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah. Dude, he would bring people back to his pool, like gay dudes, and like drug them and like suffocate them. But like they would hang out at his indoor pool. Like he owned like a Walgreens kind of thing.
Indoor pool.
And he had mannequins set up everywhere. Like how creepy would that be?
Well, you know how hard it is to find a pool in Indiana? All right. It's like there's like 2 months a year where you could enjoy your outdoor pool. So indoor pool, that's saying something. I mean, shit, I'd let him murder me to go hang out in an indoor pool.
Yeah. I just want to get you want to get some pool time in.
Yeah.
Get a little strangulation.
Yeah, exactly.
But can you imagine like you go back with this dude, you don't know him, he's got this great house, indoor pool, and there's fucking weird creepy mannequins sitting everywhere.
Dude, I would take that over going home with Jeffrey Dahmer, and he's got like a tiny little shit apartment that smells roughly of boiled flesh.
That's true
and
too.
Like so you don't even get the pool.
Yeah, who do you want to get murdered by?
Yeah, exactly. You gotta be choosy about that shit.
Yeah. Plus Jeffrey Dahmer would try to keep you alive for a while and talk to you and stuff like that. Try to turn you into a zombie.
Well, I mean, I'd prefer like H.H. Holmes. I mean, the man's got his own hotel.
We
don't know what the enemy.
Is it the gas room?
You get amenities, it's nice. The continental breakfast, which I imagine is pretty good.
Set against the backdrop of the World's Fair. So you get a lot of stuff going on there.
Some people weren't getting murdered, and those people, I want to know how that breakfast was. Like, was it good?
Tastes like chicken.
Yeah.
It's a little gamey, this ham.
Belgian waffles were very popular that year at the World's Fair.
Jesus. We're going to hell. So, all right. So, where were we? You were in Indianapolis, and you had a gig there. Bartending?
No, in Indianapolis, I worked at a Guitar Center, and I mostly did hallucinogens. I think predominantly when I was there, that was most of what I was doing. There was a lot of acid.
You know what interests me is like you're not from there, but you go there. Less than a year, you find the people.
Oh yeah,
that have the acid and the hallucinogens.
We find each other.
We do, right? There's like a connection. Like you make it in the eyes. You're like, you're like me.
Yeah, there's something in you, some deep emptiness that you're filling with something, and I hope it's a drug that I like.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, there were so many just weird, like odd, rural Indiana, central Indiana things that happened there when it came to like. We were all on an acid trip, and then two of my friends who were there, their parents showed up in the middle of the trip to take them on a "we need to talk to you" talk.
Oh no! Yeah. While he's tripping balls.
Yeah, well, both of them, two of their parents, they were cousins, and their family got there to go have a walk. Well, that we had all done 3 hits of acid, and they were just like
intervention.
Yeah. Oh man, and they like. It's funny because they thought it was us, that we were the bad influences. We came from out of town, but no, we got all the drugs from their kids.
The source.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're the reason why we could do it. But yeah, so they went on a walk. They came back. They never told me what happened. They're like, hey, what? Because again, we're still all tripping. So I'm like, what happened? And they're like, I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about
it. Let's just move on. And be like, cool. All right, great. Rest of the night was fantastic.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
acid's like so like your environment, everything, the mood, the energy. Yeah. It's like it could take a turn like that.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta know who you're with. Like I remember like the first time I took acid, I ended up tripping for 2.5 days because like I took some and like nothing happened. So I'm like, based on this nothing happening, I think I need to go triple.
Oh yeah.
So like took like 4 hits of like white blotter.
Well, it like happens. It's like subtle until it's not.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh boy, here we go.
Absolutely.
This is irreversible.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like the visuals when you're used to mushrooms. Like the visuals are so much. It's like more tame and calm initially, whereas mushrooms are mushrooms from the moment they hit until the moment they are not affecting you as much.
Right.
Like, I know what
mushrooms. Like you look at it, your painting's going to get a little weird. Acid, you're going to look at geometry.
Yeah, it spikes. There's a lot of spikes, peaks and valleys when it comes to that trip. But yeah, thank God I've never had to. I never had my parents talk to me while on acid, but I did have a planned acid trip ruined because I was good friends with my cousin, and I was ditching family Thanksgiving dinner to go do acid with some friends, and she just was like best friends with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and she just brought it up to her mom randomly, and they're like, "Oh, what's Tim and his girlfriend doing?" And they're like, "I don't know, probably doing a bunch of acid," and then like got the call from my mom. She's like, "Hey, are you ditching family Thanksgiving to do acid?" And I'm like, I mean, I was thinking about it.
There's nothing worse than a girl who has a close relationship with her mom.
Oh yeah.
It's like, this is nothing you can do.
This is like it was multi-stage Kevin Bacon family shit where it was just like my girlfriend was friends with my cousin who told my aunt who told my mom, and my cousin's ex boyfriend's dog's best friend's cousin from college, and then I'm like, great, but
you need to get here now. Everyone's there waiting for you, like an audience. Let's see Timmy when he comes through the door.
Yeah, exactly. Half of them knew, but fortunately, my parents are cool, so they were like, hey, don't do that. And I'm like, and of course I didn't tell them, but they're like, hey, well, we had some friends in the 70s who just had some hard times with that. and I'm like, no,
they can't touch.
I'm like, dude, I'm good with it. I've been doing it for a while now.
Yeah, don't even worry about it.
I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
I'm like,
we got some friends that
I'm a psychonaut.
They can't touch metal anymore.
Yeah, I'm like, great. That's probably they had the don't take the blue acid.
We used to take it and go running around this monastery that made jam. Oh God, it was amazing.
Did you ever have any of the jam?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was it good?
It was great.
Yeah.
What was it called? Somebody Abbey. I forget where. Something Abbey.
Where
obviously.
Was this?
It was in that was in Spencer, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Like not Amish. That's Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Okay.
But like it's St. Joseph's Abbey, yeah. But there'd be like deer running through the fields and stuff like that. Every now and then you'd see like one of the monks like praying with his hoodie up, and like we're running around like maniacs, just tripping balls like ah.
Yeah, and they were just like the beauty of God's creation, and you're meanwhile like the beauty of God's creation.
Yeah. I'm looking up into the constellations. I'm seeing like Da Vinci's like Vitruvium, man, and I'm like, I'm gonna be a doctor. Yeah, acid's fun. So Indiana Guitar Center, you bide your time, and then like, what made you want to go back to bartending? Was it working at Guitar Center?
It was just I like went away from it, and then I was like, you know what? And then I just moved to Chicago, and that's just what you could do. It's I had my roommate worked for Jimmy John, so I could have been a sandwich delivery guy and become really into bikes, and then I could have become that guy, which like I'm being a bike guy is almost as annoying as being a horse chick. Like,
that's my rule on Tinder. If they're playing golf or they're on a horse, I swipe left.
Like
I'm not messing with
I don't want to hear about your horse.
I
just really don't. I'm sorry to
go horseback riding.
Sorry about any horse fans out there.
Christopher Reeve, I'm not doing it.
God, my ex's family owns horses, but they don't ride them, which like to me just like defeats the purpose. It's like having a dog you don't pet. It's like, so I'm like, why would you? They do it. It's like race horses. It's
can't snuggle with a horse. It's like,
well, not unless you're living some sort of like Western dream where you're just out there. You're basically a homeless person on a horse. We don't see enough of that. Bring back.
Get as drunk as you want. The horse knows the way home.
Yeah, exactly. We need more horse homeless.
I think it should be called home often. That's a horrible thing to say.
It's everywhere.
Hold on a second. Anyway, so all right, so you're at Guitar Center. You moved to Chicago. What drew you to Chicago? Like, why was Chicago calling?
When you grow up in like Northwest Indiana, it's like it's not far away. It's like an hour. So you go there for school field trips. You go there when your family takes you up there to go to the museums. It's just right there. So you get the news, the weather, the radio.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah, I was always a White Sox fan, Bears fan, so it just made sense.
Okay. And so where's your first job?
I worked at a place called D4 Irish Pub, which was apparently everyone's first job who moved to Chicago. Because this place just turned them over and they'd hire people with very little experience. And it was owned by this Irish guy who had moved over, and what he would do is he'd move into buy these bars in shitty neighborhoods and rule with an iron fist, where he'd be like this old Irishman in the back behind the bar with his fucking baseball bat, and if you tried to come in and fuck with him, he'd just fucking clock you in the face with it, and would do that until he got rid of all the fucking drunks and junkies, and then he would slowly convert them into being nice Irish pubs that he would then buy another one, leverage, or sell. And eventually we ended up in the River North neighborhood, where it was this pretty swanky area where if you work in a tech job downtown and you don't really know shit about Chicago, you probably wanted to move to River North, and then rapidly learned that this is kind of it's a neighborhood for douchebags. But sorry to the entire neighborhood of River North.
Sorry, Chicago.
Yeah. But yeah, so I worked there for years, and it was, well, not years, a year. It's the industry. I changed.
But the industry is 1 year, is 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. It's like dog years.
Yeah.
So I worked there for a while, and probably one of the first jobs I rage quit.
You rage quit?
Yeah, I've rage quit multiple jobs, but most of them I've come back to, because by the end of the rage quit, the manager's like, I'm sorry, you're right, I made a bad call.
I have to tell you, listeners, Tim is usually right. Any kind of issues that we have currently, he's like, well, why don't we do this? And I'm like, I've been there 8 years, and I never thought of that. And he figures it out and fixes stuff. But I don't see the rage in you. What happens?
I'm calm until I'm not. So that's, but
so it just builds without warning.
Yeah, then it's explosive. Yeah, I jam all my feelings down deep.
You made me play second base.
Yeah. It's a powder keg of rage, but mostly it's restaurant related, so it doesn't really go anywhere. It just means that I just go drink a lot. But that's.
So how did you rage quit?
Oh, so it was mid-shift. Well, not mid-shift. It was after the shift. So the owner had come and sit in my section, and we got slammed, and I was just taking care of everybody. I was just killing it. And then they came over, and they're like, hey, Brendan said you didn't come over. I'm like, I said you good. I gave him a thumbs up, and he gave me a thumbs up. And they're like, well, he brought his own food. He brought his own drink. And they're like, well, he really wanted you to come over and help him more. And I'm like, dude, I got quadruple sad. I had a ton of tables. I was trying to do the right thing.
We have regular people.
I want to show him that I can take care of his restaurant. Yeah. I'm going to show this guy what I know, what I can do.
By ignoring him and getting the people who are paying.
Exactly. Yeah. The important people. So then the manager was like, well, like, fuck the customers, man. He's the guy who's paying your checks. And I'm like, well, first of all, that's not how the restaurant works.
Right.
The customers pay my bills. That guy just pays my taxes, or maybe not my taxes.
Yeah,
You know,
we're
maybe not quite
subcontractors.
enough.
We're
Yeah,
subcontractors.
exactly.
I won't even answer the
and
phone
then
anymore.
I told him, I'm like, if your attitude is fuck the customers, I'm like, well, then go fuck yourself. I'm going to get out of here. And I, like, took all my shit and I, like, handed it off to the boss. And I got ready to leave, and he, like, caught me at the door, and he's like, you're right. I'm sorry, dude. I'm like,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I rage quit the karaoke bar. That was brutal. I talked about that on a previous episode, but it was like he took all these girls that I worked with and like some that were there for like a month, and I had been there for like 4 years, and he never took me in the limo to the Playboy Mansion. And the whole time I'm thinking, they're all at the Playboy Mansion. And I am DJing the karaoke. I am fucking making all the drinks. I am running food, taking the food orders, and the place is packed. It's a private party. I'm one person.
How many plus ones do you think you get to the Playboy Mansion? Do you think it's like, do you get
Yeah,
plus
like
an unlimited amount of women, or do you get like a plus one dude if you bring a girl? Like, or is it just like,
it's probably got to be like that. It's like,
Yeah,
you
like-
probably get one dude for every 2 girls you bring.
yeah. There's probably some sort of science to it. Like, not to take this guy's side. Fuck that.
No,
You put
no.
your time in. He brought enough girls where he could get a plus one.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's like also, 4 years I've been running your show. Every time I wanted to quit, he would hear about it and give me a raise and another key to something.
Oh yeah, they love that kind of ownership management.
yeah,
They're like, we only promote you or give you any kind of accolade or thank you when we think you're gonna leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. People say that all the time, like in the service industry, when they're talking about the proprietor of the establishment. Like, yeah. So my owner said, I'm like, no, it's not your owner.
Yeah,
it's the owner of the
the
bar
owner,
where
yeah.
you work, not my owner. So everybody out in the service industry, stop saying my owner.
Yeah, you are not indentured to these motherfuckers.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're horrible people.
Yeah, you learn that lesson pretty quickly when you've been doing it for a while, where it's just like, you can be the guy who tries to fix problems, but oftentimes that also means you're the guy who's pissing off some uneducated middle manager who couldn't even hack it into your position, so here they are now to be like mad at you.
And then you're the whiner.
Yeah,
pointing out the
exactly.
flaw.
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, get rid of them. They're causing all these problems. It'd be like if you were a design company, and every time that your best guy was like, hey, actually, I've got this new thing that can make things better, you're like, get him out of here.
Yeah, no.
Fucking kill him.
Get him out.
Yeah.
Anderson,
Throw him out.
Anderson, stop being fucking a sensible person. Get the fuck out.
You're really pissing everybody off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to take my job
Status
someday.
quo.
Yeah. So, all right. So you're in Chicago. You're working at this Irish. So you get out of there.
Yes.
You
And
rage
then
quit. And then you go to.
From there, I think I ended up at Second City next, actually. So I was serving there.
You were serving at Second
Yeah,
City. So
yes.
you met all the comedians.
Yes. You weren't allowed to gush.
Sure.
Yeah, you were allowed to say hey. Mostly you were allowed to work around them. But yeah, I mean, a lot of cool people were there when I was started there. A.D. Bryant, Tim Robinson, they both were there right before they went away. Cecily Strong. I've seen Tim Meadows.
I love his ladies' man character.
Tim Meadows is also an incredibly nice guy who was like really low key when he would come in, where he was just very friendly, very unassuming, just would come in and watch the shows, sit to the side and just enjoy them and then call it a day.
That's
cool
awesome.
guy. Yeah, because he just knew he was legacy, so he could just come in and watch any show, and he would just come in and watch every single show at least one time when he was in town.
That's
to
awesome.
come and check out the
support.
new shows.
Yeah. He seems like a super nice guy. There's a lot of fucking assholes.
Yeah.
Like Tosh is an asshole.
Preferred your Tosh take.
Yeah, that guy sucks. Tosh, what do you want me to say? You're coming up next. You want to talk about the show? You got any shows coming up you want me to plug? And he just folds his arm and looks away from me. I'm like, wow, what a fucking dick. So I go up on stage. I'm like, all right, next comedian coming to the mic. A man who needs no introduction. And then I just left. And then he went up and slayed, and it pissed me off.
Yeah,
he
well,
slayed.
unfortunately, he's got chops.
Yeah, he's got the chops. So yeah, you saw all the comedians. I'm sure you got into some debauchery while you were there.
Yeah, definitely. So, so there was a lot of comedians who'd come to Up Comedy Club, which was their stand-up theater, and I was there one time when Donald Rollins came in. I was there when Charlie Murphy came in, and we had a coworker actually. So we'd had this spot in the garage where we'd all go smoke cigarettes, and the comedians would come out there to smoke weed or smoke whatever they were going to do. And Charlie Murphy comes out, and he asked if we all want to go smoke a blunt with him. And most of us, you obviously want to, but you're like, I'm in the middle of this shift, like in the middle, like he's doing this while his openers are on stage, and you're outside having a cigarette because you already got everyone their first round of drinks. So he comes out there, and one of my coworkers, he goes out and he goes smokes a blunt with him. He's gone for like 30, 40 minutes. No one could find him. They were all trying to track him down.
Wow.
And
mid-shift.
Mid-shift. 30 minutes. And then
Wow.
he wasn't, he was a host, so most of his job was done.
Yeah, everyone's in the room already.
Yeah, exactly. So he was, he had some time, but I mean, I'd love to know what happened in that 40 minutes. But so they couldn't find him. They ended up firing him that night because he smoked a blunt with Charlie Murphy.
Oh shit!
And then Donnell Rawlings came like a month later, and he was like, "Hey, we're gonna go smoke a blunt in the car. Do you want to come with everybody?" And everyone's like, "Fuck no, hell no, we're not doing that with you." But like, you seem like a great guy, but I'm sorry, Charlie Murphy just ruined that for everybody because that guy got fired, and now he's doing MLM shit. So it's
shit. Yeah,
that's the whole
is it,
ebb and flow of that whole thing.
Is it Vitamin World or what is it called? Herbalife?
I think it was Herbalife, if I'm being honest. He was just like, hit me up randomly on Facebook, and he was like, "Hey, Tim, how have you been, man?" I'm like, "Dude, it's good to talk to you. I haven't seen you in forever. I'm going to, coming back into town soon." And he's like, "Oh, man, I've got a great business opportunity I want to talk to you about." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck.
Boy, here we go."
And I'm like, "Here, I thought you were just catching up like a regular-ass human, and nope, you got an angle."
Yep.
Yep.
They always do. It's like, we had a manager that left and like got into that, and it's like all about like managing money. I entertain. I'm like, all right, I thought we were going to go on a date. It turned out to be like, I gotta go do this thing first, put in a little time for her, and then there was no substance. It was like, oh, what you want to do is saving money and build wealth and get more people to sign up.
Yeah.
And then that's how you do it.
Exactly. Shill to a bunch of idiots. I worked at a spot in Nashville for a little while where it was like a pretty big barbecue spot, and most of their hiring pool was like Waffle House. So these were like people who were 19 years old with 2 or 3 kids, and they would scoop them up, and I'm like, man, if I just started an MLM here, I would do so well. I'm like,
smash it.
I'm gonna just ruin the lives of all of these Waffle House kids.
So when is Nashville in your timeline?
That's in the midst of Chicago. I went to Nashville and came back.
Okay.
And I did that for a little while.
Why did you leave Chicago? You just like, fuck winter, fuck this.
Yeah, fuck winter. Yeah. Okay. Weather sucks.
And then you got the mosquitoes and the humidity. You're like, I'm going back to
mosquitoes,
Chicago.
Fortunately, they don't really survive much in the city because, there's not a lot of standing water, so you can avoid them mostly. But yeah.
That's like my biggest like brag to my mom. It's like, since I left Massachusetts in 2000, I'm like, I haven't been bit by a mosquito in like 23 years.
Some people just have that attraction to mosquitoes. Like they've got something in their blood that just like makes them come out specifically for them.
Yeah, drugs. The mosquitoes love them.
Well, I'll be in like a social setting where like people are like, "Man, I'm just getting bit up," and I'm like, I'm pretty good.
Yeah,
like I don't know what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you on? When I was in Colombia with those dudes, like they like the gringo blood. Those mosquitoes. Holy shit.
Yeah, maybe it's like the pasty Irish skin just turns them off. Yeah, they're like, "Oh, we like what you've got going on over here." Yeah.
I had like a third nipple on my bicep, dude. It was brutal. I'm like, what the hell did you shoot me up with? But all right, so you're in Chicago. You're doing you're hanging out with all the comics, and then, I mean, any other debauchery in Chicago before you got to Denver?
So.
By the way, he brought Malort over, everybody. You want to tell everybody what Malort is? It's a very Chicago thing.
Yeah.
We did a couple of shots of that.
If you get an opportunity to try it, it's not as bad as you've heard. It's a wormwood gentian liqueur that just is digestive, and it's super bitter, like just disturbingly bitter. To some people, it tastes like gasoline. Some of the jokes are, it tastes like the day the dad left. It tastes, it tastes like some expired milk that sat in a bottle in the sun for like 25 years. It's like everyone wants to come up with a different thing that it tastes like, but mostly it just tastes bitter.
It literally tasted like it wanted to be peppermint schnapps at the top and then gave up and it became the end of Fernet.
Yeah, it's got that hot liquor quality in the beginning, but then at the end it's just a lingering grapefruit pithy bitterness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love it.
It's like a relationship, basically. It starts off promising and then it's just, bitterness.
Exactly.
And
and most of my relationships start out kind of bitter and then they end pretty bitter, so it's pretty accurate.
So you're just perfect for Malort.
Yeah, exactly. As it turns out, I'm mostly attracted to haters. So if you're a hater, then I'm probably your type.
Do you suffer from the same thing I suffer from? When you have a girl like that likes you, you're like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?
Exactly.
Why do you like me?"
Like, do you have a problem that I'm not aware of? truth is, it's just,
You shouldn't be liking me. There's something wrong with you.
The key is to pick somebody who's not quite an alcoholic, but if a couple of bad things happen, they might become an alcoholic because, it's like
just right there on the edge.
Yeah, exactly. Because then your shit never looks too bad. Yeah.
Jesus. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, fuck. So, before we started maligning alcoholics, we were talking about any other debauchery in Chicago?
So one of the things that, like, at Second City, I hope I'm not going to try and get a job there soon when I move back, but, like, is, I had this started a whole thing for me. I would, it's just kind of become my MO, right? So Tom Hanks was there, and he was there to see the show. It's a really amazing experience. He went up, he performed. But before
Tom Hanks
that,
performed?
Yes, he did. I'll tell that story
Okay,
later.
cool.
But so it started out with me just like, he was in my section and we were taking care of customers and I don't know what I ate earlier. It was probably Chicago. Could have been hot dogs or beefs or, delicious pizza. And I just really had a fart. So I'm like, you know what? Opportunity doesn't arise very often where you get an opportunity to crop dust Tom Hanks. But I crop dusted Tom Hanks. And it started a whole thing. I've since crop dusted former Chicago Mayor Mayor Daley. I've crop dusted what's his name from The Big Bang Theory, the lead.
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Who cares?
Wow.
And then
the kid on Roseanne.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
who it is. Yeah,
the kid from Roseanne. And let's see, there's a few other musicians and stuff in there that don't come to mind. I almost shit my pants trying to crop dust Machine Gun Kelly, but it was worth it. Like, I just so desperately really wanted to crop dust him, and I'm like, I don't even have to fart, but I conjured it. I put the work in.
You had the launch gas, but you didn't realize the torpedo was still in front.
Yeah, I had to take a minute and be like, all right, someone else watch the bar. I'm trying really hard to fart on Machine Gun Kelly.
I have to do a little intestinal yoga.
Yeah,
breathe,
exactly.
Move it around the projectile.
There's a lot of shifting. I got to work on those ab movements. Kegels, if you will. Yeah,
I'm doing my Kegels right now.
Yeah,
crop dusted Tom Hanks. That's amazing.
Maybe some of that tied into what's been going on. I've heard his books. So we'll see. Yeah, maybe I infected him with a little shitty writing skills.
Oh, the fun never stops.
Yes.
WORK. All right, so you crop dusted celebrities at this place, the Irish Bar, and then
that was Second City.
Oh, that was Second City. That's right.
Yeah.
So where was the next place?
So in Old Town Chicago, there's this bar across the street called Old Town Ale House. It's been there for like 60-something years. It's an old school dive bar. They're open until 5 on Saturdays for every other day of the week. So it's where you go when you have a problem. And I went there all the time. As it turns out.
So I went there all the time.
Yeah, so I was there pretty much every day I worked a shift at Second City. I'd be like rallying everybody at work. I'd be like, who's going to the ale house? You going to the ale house? You going to the ale house? You going to the ale house? And then sometimes people would be like, no, I'm going to be like, no, you're going to come. And then I just like make a bunch of people come in there. So I'd bring in these big crowds of people with me from work because it's across the street. I was just there so often. I'd be getting rides home from bartenders, closing the place down every single day.
You put chairs up, wiping off the bar.
Totally. And they finally got to a point they're like, you just want to work here?
That's what happens. I always say, I've said it in like 5 episodes, like bars are a place where if you go there enough, it's like an amoeba. It just absorbs you and you end up as a staff.
Yeah, and it's one of those spots where people are always like, how did you get a job here? And be like, I was here all the time.
I put in my time, buddy.
Yeah,
I think you're coming in here with a goddamn resume.
Yeah, totally. And then they also like tipped super fat, so that's the other benefit. Yeah, but yeah, I'd be there all the time, and I started working there, and then for years that was the spot. So like I worked. So while I was there, a lot of crazy stuff happened. Obviously I got really intense relationships. It's an old school dive bar, so there's a lot of elderly guys there who'd come in every day, drink like 14 drinks, go home, and then do it again the next day. And it's weird. The line between psychosis and stability is very fine for some people. Yeah. Where you'd have so many people who'd like have regular functional jobs and then would come in and get a few drinks in and then they'd just be a raving lunatic.
Yeah.
But you'd love them because they were there every day. So like the amount of like raving lunatic 70-year-old men that I apparently have been friends with for many years some of them. Yeah. It's just part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You see some guy like running around with his shirt off yelling at the fucking moon. It's like, who's that? He's a surgeon.
Yeah, someone's got to get him to close his tab. Yeah. It was one of the only spots where cash only, they still did, you could run a tab there. So we literally had customers. There's one guy, Ruben, who you could hear about him on any of the Bruce Elliott stuff. He would come in all the time. He had like lost his like diabetes, and he would just drink like fucking 30 Miller Lights every day. Oof. And he would just come in, put him in, and he'd come in and like stumbling and talking over his words in his wheelchair. He'd get dropped off by the Pace bus. Great guy. Yeah. And when he finally passed, they buried him with a tab that was like $15,000.
Oh, boy.
They just like racked it up for years. He just didn't charge him anything. He just threw down a couple of bucks for the bartender and then like throw it on Ruben's tab. And that guy put him back. But he had a legacy there that went further than a lot of people.
Legacy!
Yeah, legacy.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
You hang out at Old Town Ale House enough, and you get painted and put on the wall. So there's portraits of all kinds of regulars and former employees, former celebrities. Being across the street from Second City, it was like back in the 60s and 70s, it was the spot. So like, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, they would hang out there all the time. Anyone who went through Second City, Steve Carell frequented there. Tina Fey wasn't really a drinker, so she didn't really go in there very often. But you had like a lot of people who had this weird legacy about this spot. And they would just come back sometimes and just show up out of nowhere in the middle of your shift. And then you had this weird defense thing you had to go into where you'd be like, I got to protect this person from the regulars, but also at the same time.
Yeah, because they're going to be all hounded and everything.
And we had like a code, though, where it's like, listen, if you try and buy them a drink and they say yes, then they have to deal with your bullshit for at least a little while.
Yeah, at least for the duration of half the drink.
Exactly, because they didn't need you to buy them that drink. Yeah. So, like, if you say yes, you'd be like, that's a little bit of my own personal code, too, where it's like, hey, man, if you got the money and someone's buying you a drink and you don't want to talk to them, just tell them you're fine. Be like, hey, I'm good, man. Thank you so much. It's so gracious. I'm so gracious for that. Thank you so much. But I'm good. Thank you. I'm just trying to have a quiet night.
Yeah, don't bug me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, rich people always get free shit, too. That's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, exactly. And
I got to buy this guy a drink. Why? There's a millionaire.
Yeah, exactly. He should buy you a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you want to, like, talk to him, so you got to rent him a little.
Yeah, exactly.
With like, girls, you know what I mean? Buy him a drink. You owe me at least half of that drink while we talk. She just chugs it.
Yeah.
Well, it's gone. Oh, fuck. All right,
that's why I just ask. If someone's like, can I buy this girl a drink? And I'm like, does she want a drink? Like, and they're like,
yeah, when you're bartending, someone tries to send a drink over.
Yeah, exactly. Does she want that drink from you? They're like, I don't know. And be like, oh, cool. So you want me to flirt with her for you? I had a guy who had like,
it was his 7th grade passing notes.
Yeah, yeah. I had a guy to pitch her margaritas, and he's like, hey, will you go see if those girls want to drink these margaritas for us or with us? And I'm like, do you want me to like try and fuck them for you too, or like what are you looking for? I'm like, no. Do it yourself, you grown man.
Yeah, go over there and say,
and be like, hey, would you like to share this picture with us? We got too much.
Otherwise, she's going to get like another drink on your tab. She's going to smile at you and say goodbye on her way out.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're going to bitch about it to me. So, like, yeah, it's like, hey, just accept the rejection. It's really not that big a deal. I get rejected all the time.
Yeah, this time you got to reject it ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's even better.
It's easier that way.
You're more efficient.
Yeah.
So Second City, you went across to this place.
Yeah, I worked there for 7 years off and on.
Wow, that's a long time in bar.
It's very long. I was just that much into that bar.
Wow.
I had so many regulars. It was, again, cash-only spot. You just build your own customer base, and there was a lot of history to it. Anthony Bourdain came in and did 2 episodes of his show there. He did Parts Unknown, and he did The Layover there.
Wow.
I was there when his production company came in and helped them set up and taught him all about our lights and their power and ability and stuff like that. But the next day when they came in, they were like, you cannot come on. We cannot have any extra people showing up to be on the show, including employees. Just a couple of random regulars got invited to go and sit there with the owner and talk with him. But then they came back the next time, same kind of thing. Really good at telling where the lights are. Yeah.
Did you interact with him at all, or
no? Just the production company. It was other stuff I definitely like. So I was working there one late night, and David Cross came in.
Nice.
Phenomenal
Tobias.
comedian. Yeah, Tobias. And so he's a New York guy. So he's like, it's the end of the night, and we're like, hey man, do you want to have a shot with us for a minute? I know everyone's leaving. You can stay for a minute and do a shot. He's like, I know how it is. I've been to bars in New York. If I have this shot with you, I'm going to be here, and it's going to be like 9 a.m. And we're like, no, we just kind of want to go home. But
nice.
But it was really nice to meet you. But then he
we don't want to hang out with you that much.
Yeah. And so he did the shot, and he was very deliberate about touching everyone's glasses. He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
Which is like a weird thing sometimes when you got a big group. FYI, people who insist on touching glasses with every single person doing a shot with you. Just anyone in arm's reach.
Yeah, put it into the huddle, and it's understood.
And then you're good. Yeah, you don't have to make physical contact with every single person's drink.
It's not the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Oh, God. You know what else I hate? I hate when dudes like order drinks for themselves, right? And then they coach you on who's next. They're trying to be chivalrous, like, "Oh, I believe these girls are next. I got you, ladies. I got you." These girls, are you buying them the drink?
Yeah, exactly.
No, then shut the fuck up.
Right. I'm gonna get all of them. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You're coming up to a group of people. Like they were first. Be like, no, you're all getting ordered.
This
at
is
the
a
same
horizontal
time.
line.
Yeah, exactly.
You have no
I'm
idea.
Take
who was
all
first.
of your orders. Don't worry.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, we're gonna all pay separate anyway. So
I know. I'm aware. I figured.
But you're all gonna get the same fucking drink. You didn't get one fake boob at a time, did you? You got them both. So I'm gonna taste hers and then I'm gonna decide.
Yeah.
No, just fucking
get the espresso martini.
I'm gonna make it because I know you're gonna want it.
Yeah.
And then you left Chicago. You came to Denver.
Yes. So
what prompted that?
Well, I was left, went to Nashville for a little while, came back to Chicago, and then ended up being there through COVID lockdown, and it became this weird COVID prison. And then
it did.
Yeah, and then I was like, I need something different. So honestly, Denver was kind of on a whim, in a sense. And I'm like, you know what? Because when I lived in Nashville, I was 7 hours from so many beautiful places.
Yep.
Mostly cities. Went to Atlanta, went to Asheville.
Love Atlanta.
Went to, different parts of North Carolina, South Carolina, all over the South. And I was like, I need to do the same thing, but in the mountain region. So I moved here to Denver because I'm like, you know what? Within a 7-hour drive, you've got Arches, you've got Rocky Mountain National Park, you can go down to Black Canyon of the Gunnison, you can get to Santa Fe, you can go to all these places where I'm like, this is a centralized spot.
Yeah, no, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a big part. That's the draw. As it turns out, I got here and I don't ski or snowboard, so I'm a pariah, and I don't have a dog, so I must be a monster.
Oh my god!
But
you are not. The census doesn't even count you.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, you don't live here.
You actually don't have a right to vote here.
As it turns out, no dog, no.
You need a dog, a pair of skis, or a DUI. Otherwise,
exactly.
you can't vote.
Well, I'm working on one of them.
All right, let's see.
The skis.
Yeah, let's go. And so, so we worked together at Avante's. How'd you find Avante? Was that your first job in Denver? Or?
Yeah, actually. So, I moved in November, and I was there during the off season, and I kind of took a slow move into it, and then I just happened to apply on a whim, and the beverage director worked at a bar in Chicago, or worked in Chicago before that, so he recognized all my experience, and he was just like, "Come on in," and the rest is history.
Oh my God!
Yes,
crazy history.
Yeah,
What is, in all your places, the weirdest thing you've ever seen? Like, in your years of bartending? Like, the weirdest? Or the funniest? Or, just like the what the fuck is wrong with youest?
So, I got a few of those. One was, we had a regular who was a lawyer, and he'd been a regular there for a very long time, and he had gone to Popeyes when he got there first thing in the morning when the bar opened at, it was 11 o'clock, and he hung out all day with this Popeyes, didn't eat a damn bite of it, waited until 7 or 8 o'clock and decides to just destroy this Popeyes, and then immediately gets severe diarrhea, severe... Yeah, he had surprise poops.
Yeah,
so he
swollen
sprints
colon
to the bathroom, and then one single turd rolled out of his pant leg onto the ground.
Oh God!
And he was very humiliated and left very rapidly. But then we still had to clean up the turd. Thank God it was a turd.
Yeah, it was solid.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can sweep up a turd, you can't deal with the rest of it in the same way. Yeah,
no. Oh God. Yeah, we're practically nurses sometimes.
Yeah. As it turns out, I gotta clean up blood, vomit.
Bodily
feces, urine, be like, it's fine, but at the same time, I got to make somebody's last word. Yeah.
Let me squeeze this
one
line
hand
for you.
For the last word, one hand for the sweeping up of the poop.
Do we have those long spears for the cherry? Because I don't want to touch anything.
Jesus.
What else? So you said you had a few. So you had a lawyer, shit his pants, and it rolls out through his pant leg.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. What else you got on there?
So we had let me think of a good one on that one. So we had this neighborhood guy named Street Jimmy. He was our resident crackhead at the bar because he got his mail there. He knew us all personally. We had a bottle of hot sauce that was for Jimmy, and he'd come in and be like, "Hey, can I please get some chips?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, Jimmy, it's fine. You say this every day." It took him
song and dance every time.
It took him a year to learn my name. We'd be like, "Hey, Lil Team," and then so we had Tall Tim, and he would, he'd come in, and so one day Jimmy's out front, and some other neighborhood crackhead starts rolling into the neighborhood, and Jimmy finds a piece of wood out of nowhere. He conjures it off of the street of Chicago.
A piece of wood,
yeah, a piece of wood. And he uses it as a bat, and he chases this man off the block, and just completely off the block, and came back, and then we gave him a beer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm the crackhead of this block.
This is my bar. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, oh man, I've got a lot of Jimmy stories. That guy's a trip. Yeah, needless to say. It's weird having like a personal relationship with like a 63-year-old crackhead.
Yeah.
Who's been like smoking crack since he was in his like early 20s. And you're like,
crack must be the shit.
Yeah, you can only imagine. It must be, it's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, like people don't get it. Like, this is the whole reason I like to do the podcast. Like what happens to us? It's like you become friends with a 60-something-year-old crackhead or a high-powered attorney who happens to shit his pants and a turd rolls out. Like, it doesn't happen when you're like working in project management.
No, absolutely. You go to your office job, and then the odds of you learning that the person who does the editing for your local radio show is like also completely and totally insane. Yeah,
People got to know. You guys got to know. This is why you tip. Also because we lower the prices on everything because we pay our service staff minimum wage. Yes. So instead of having a $15 Corona, you're going to have a $7 Corona, but it's up to you to kind of, put $3 on it and make it a $10 Corona.
Take care of it. Yeah.
Otherwise, we have to get rid of tipping and make the $15 Corona a thing.
Yeah, and who's going to protect you from the deranged money manager who has just done one bump in the bathroom and somehow it's turned him into a complete and total sociopath.
A lot of Dr. Jekylls and Mr. Hydes out there. Bars, hospitals, police stations, full moons. Trust me, it gets weird.
Yes, absolutely. Which is why everyone should take a stint in. It's like Israel with the military.
I say this all the time. Everybody does a year in the military in Israel. Everybody should do a year in the service. Up top. Tim, that's amazing. I say that all the time. They have to work in the service industry. You guys got to know what's going on. You might enjoy it. You might get laid more.
You might develop a drug or alcohol problem. Or you might just foster the one you already have.
Yeah. Is it
genetics?
Maybe it's not a problem so much as a hobby.
Yeah, exactly. It's a feature, not a flaw.
It's a feature. Oh, God. All right, everybody. That was Timmy, me boy, for episode 53 on Behind Bars, Cocktails, and Wasted Nights. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for telling a friend. Spread the word. Write a review. Timmy, me boy. Thank you so much. Say goodbye to the people.
Hey, thanks, everybody. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, let's go. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.